let's talk about the good and the beautiful. Are we still using it? My thoughts on level 4, what we're doing. I know this has kind of been a popular question anytime I have asked to what you guys want to see. I get a lot of questions on what we're doing with the good and the beautiful. So I'm here to talk about it. If you're new here, I'm Nickie. I am a homeschool mom to an only child, and we are in 4th grade. This is our 5th year homeschooling. And we have been on a journey with the good and the beautiful. So we have both levels of language arts and math. Now we're kind of done with the good and the beautiful for a little while, on and off. We were pretty consistent for the first 2-3 years. We did kindergarten, 1st and 2nd, full curriculums for language arts and math. And then 3rd grade, it took a turn. We did not like it for math at all. I started to not like it for language arts, and I started to piece things together. 4th grade, she actually requested to do the good and the beautiful. So I was hesitant because the year before we were switching things up, and I didn't want to purchase it, so I did the PDF, the free PDF, to see if we would stick with it, if it was going to work, kind of thing. So in short, we're still doing it. I have made a lot of modifications. For her language arts, she is pretty much doing this for fun. She is very insistent on doing language arts, and I think that has a lot to do with the art and geography in this unit. Otherwise, she's also reading the stories that go together in the readers. So she's about halfway through on both readers, and she truly enjoys the stories with them. She does this completely independently, and I'm just going to be flat out honest when it comes to the language arts book, is that I'm not even really checking a lot of the stuff that she's doing in there unless it's a specific topic that I feel is important. And let me explain. I am also adding things. Like, she does this 100% independent, and especially on the days that I am not here or able to teach her. So I feel like she's doing something. I was going through and I was grading it about halfway through, and then I kind of started to not, because we are using other things alongside it. So we are doing writing skills from My Father's World. This is like level 4, grade 4. I do not have anything in this language arts from the good and the beautiful that we are, like the writing and spelling, we do not do that book. We tried, and I quickly decided that was not for us. So she does do this in the readers, and then that's that. And then I have added in Zaner Bloser grammar. So we do these 2 things together. And then I have a vocabulary from Vocabulit that we do once a week. This is once a week. So it's very like a light add-on. And then we do this daily. This is so easy, and it's in color, and it's basically like, here's the lesson and lesson practice, and then on the next page she would complete that on her own. So it's like apply, reinforce kind of thing. So are we doing the language arts? Yes. I don't know how much she's actually like learning from it, other than I know she's loving the books and the geography and the art. And for me, if she's loving that, then it's worth keeping. I do think that we will again reevaluate next year. I mean, this is why she loves it, y'all. Like, the pictures are beautiful. And then she's using pastels. She's using doing different art to go along with it. She did just complete, I believe, the section review. I watched her as she did it. She was doing well with it. She got majority of them correct. So I feel like whatever she is doing in this curriculum book, she's understanding it, she's grasping it. Now, that could be because we're adding in this supplemental grammar, and that's also helping her with the grammar that's in the curriculum. Now, for math, I have a lot of thoughts on this. I'm going to try to sound coherent and not like mumble jumbled. We are still doing this. This is written to the student to be independent. There is a video option for pretty much every single lesson, and that is what starts out the lesson. So it is beautiful. It does have pictures. So it's nice because there's the video option, and then there is also the written option as well. But here's the thing. When I was not here, I'm on a day that I'm working and I cannot be there to help her. This is what I would come home to. She didn't want to watch the videos. And I feel because she's an auditory visual learner that she needed both the video and to be able to read it through to understand the lesson. And because she was skipping part of that, she was not understanding some of these concepts. And so she would put it aside, and then she would get frustrated, and then she would cross it out, and it became a very big frustration for her. So I shortly before the holidays, I nixed her doing it herself. I said, even though this is supposed to be geared towards your child to do independently, we're not going to do it that way. She still can read through the lesson on her own, but I'm going to sit there and we're going to do this 3 times a week instead. We're going to do this on the days that I have the time to do it with her, and we will watch the video together. If she doesn't understand the concept, I'm gonna know in that video section, because they have you do practice problems. If I see that she's not understanding the practice problem, then I can say whoa, and I can help and walk her through some of the practice problems. Until she understands the concept, then I will feel confident enough to let her move on. Now, that seems to be working, and there's a lot less frustration, because I think what she was doing is she was seeing the initial, oh, I know how to do fractions, I don't need to watch the video. And then it would come to it and she'd get them wrong because she thinks she knows what she's doing, but she really doesn't, because they've added an extra step, or they've added something that she didn't know how to do. There's a lot of things that I really do wish that were different about this curriculum. First of all, I love that the parents have their own answer key, but this is not the answer key, this is her book, but the answer key literally just lists the answer in red. I need to know how they got some of those answers, not just the answer in red. I wish that it had thoroughly written out how they did the steps to get the answer written for the parent. I am not a mathematician, and so math is not my strong suit, and it's obviously not my child's strong suit at this point. So if I don't know how they got the answer, that doesn't help me in getting her to understand the concept either, if we're both struggling because we're reading an answer in red without seeing the visualization breakdown of the steps. I wish that they did that. The other thing is that I wish that they had the page number in the teacher's manual or in the children's manual of when they're reintroducing concept in their spiral approach, on where to go back in the book if the child forgot how to do something, to go through the lesson and work through what they forgot in like the review sections. So things that I wish were different. There's not a whole ton, but it does take her a while to do this. This is probably the thing that takes her the longest. It is about a solid hour that we do math. It really depends, though. It could be shorter, never really more than that, but it's a good 45 minutes to an hour that it takes her to complete it. Sometimes it'll say number 2, but there could be 5 problems listed under number 2 that have nothing to do with one another. It's just how they write out their problems. So you would think that you're doing 6 problems, but there's really probably like 20 involved on the whole page, which isn't a lot. I mean, for review, it's a good, decent amount, but they're, as math gets on further and further through the grades, the lessons get more complex and the problems get harder and more difficult. So that's why it takes her some time. I do wish that they either made them to be more pages or not made it so scrunched on the page. I thought it wasn't a big deal because I was looking, when I initially looked at it, and go, oh, there's only 6 problems. But, then she has to bust out her scratch pad because she can't write it all that tiny on the page. So as much as it's working and it's good, and we will likely continue with this next year, there's just certain quirks and things that I wish were different about it. I do like that they have some of these little like bubble things to help the kid remember the order of operations. So like there's always hints, there's some games throughout. We did adding and subtracting of fractions on this lesson. And so here's a great example of how scrunched they are together on the page, but there's a lot of work that she has to show. So she struggles with then having to rewrite the problem in there, because at that point, she's already had to rewrite so much, and so she's over it, and so she ends up writing really tiny, and then sometimes she misses things. So I wish there was more space to give the kids, even if that meant breaking the pages into differently, spacing them out differently. But otherwise it's going really well. I'm not complaining. I don't think it's bad. I just think that for her, she needs that extra support. I think I have a whole video coming on this, but when you're reaching that 4th grade, 5th grade mark, and everyone's pushing for independence and for kids to be doing some of this stuff independently, I think we have to remind ourselves that every kid is different, and that there's really no rush to be independent. There's really no rush for your child to complete a curriculum just because they hit 4th grade and it's written to them. It doesn't mean that you can have or want zero involvement. It just means that the ability is there, the opportunity is there. But every kid is different, and like with her, she needs help, especially with math. So I thought by eliminating myself that it would get better, but in reality it didn't, because I had to go back and then correct, and she doesn't like the correcting part. So I'm like, well, then let's do this together so that there's less correcting and more of just understanding overall. Now, on the days that I am not here and able to school her. She's doing some supplemental things for math. So she is not doing this at all on her own, period. So she is doing pet math. So she does this once or twice a week. And then she's doing, or still sticking with, the unusual math and reading book. And so she'll do 1 or 2 pages from both, and she's really enjoying these. And because, you know, we're going through it so slow, like this is the 3rd grade level, and it's more for review for her at this point. And this just keeps everything fresh for her as well, with learning some funny, odd, unusual reading to go along with it. So I'll always have some type of supplemental thing for her to still do math on that day. It's just not coming from the Good and the Beautiful. We do have the mental math book with the Good and the Beautiful. I forget to do it all the time, so I should probably do it. But we have not touched it in months, maybe ever. No, I mean, I was crossing them off, but we didn't get very far. The last one I crossed off was lesson 3. Maybe we're just not doing mental math, you know? It's fine. It's fine. She does a lot of mental math on her own that she doesn't need a book to tell her what to do. Anyways, so that's kind of how the Good and the Beautiful is working, and how I'm molding it to make it work for our family right now. Up in the air about language arts for next year, but for sure we're probably going to stick with the Good and the Beautiful. Like I said, I feel like it's going really well. I just have to tweak it to make it work for us a little bit different or better. The last thing I was going to say is that we have started doing our own reading unit studies. And when I say unit studies, it's mostly like just reading books and having comprehension type style questions that are related to reading, which I feel like the Good and the Beautiful doesn't do a whole lot of. They have you read these books, but then there's not a whole lot of like anything about the reading in the curriculum. So I find that weird. So right now we're reading My Side of the Mountain. We're not even close to halfway through, but we're doing about a chapter 4 days a week, and it's working out. She answers some questions. I print out like a booklet, and she goes through and we talk about alliteration and similes and metaphors and all of that stuff, and some reflection and vocabulary. It has all of those things added in, and we really love doing that, and it works well. I don't feel like we spend more than, at least we're down here for at least a solid 2 hours, especially on the days that, you know, we're doing everything, because like I said, we only do the writing once a week and the vocabulary once a week, so it's really fairly light altogether. But this is what works for us. So for the most part, it's working. We're still doing it. She still loves doing it, and she has changed like a whole 180 on math, because it used to be a fight and a battle and a struggle, and now it's way more relaxed because I'm walking her through it after she's learning the concept from watching the video. So I feel like it just made a world of a difference. If you have any questions for me, leave them down below. If you want me to pinpoint anything else in either one of these curriculums, I'd be happy to explain or show you. And I would love it if you hit that like down there. And if you are not already, please hit that subscribe, and I will see you in my next video.